Hello everyone, I'm Sharpedo43 once again, bringing you all another Wi-Fi battle in the UU tier. My opponent for this battle is going to be TheKillerNacho, also known as the Snack. Once again, it's been yeah, I think it's been a while since we last battled, but yeah, we're gonna be using this team once again because I kind of want to use this team once again, in all honesty. But yeah, so looking at his team, there's a couple things that are really scary of this guy's team. He has a type null, which can be annoying if it's one of those Eviolite Swords Dancing variety ones. And the Marowak is kind of annoying in the sense that it kind of can give my Sylveon and Heracross a hard time. He also has Conk, which can also hit really hard, not a whole lot switches into it, has knockoff and all that kind of stuff. And Hydreigon Scarvin hits a lot of things really hard while also switching out and switching back in. So yeah, hopefully this team doesn't have a really hard time with Snack's team, because honestly this team kind of struggles with a couple things, like noticeably Breloom. But in this team, I feel like the type null can actually give me a real number if it ends up setting up successfully and whatnot. So yeah, but here we go. He's gonna lead off with Empoleon, which is definitely not a lead I was expecting in all honesty, but I personally thought this was a good matchup because I can just get my rocks up, and the worst thing this thing can do is Scald Burn me. Or at least I thought, because as you can see right here, this guy actually carries Grass Knot, which is actually really crazy, because in all honesty, I don't think I've ever seen anyone run Grass Knot on Empoleon other than Miss Espeon. And I honestly thought that he'd go for like maybe Scald. If not Scald, if it was an offensive Empoleon, maybe Hydro Pump, I was thinking I could take that as well. But Grass Knot, holy cranberries. So yeah, as a result, I lose Swampert right out of the gate, and I get no rocks up. So I was actually kind of triggered at this point, and I was just like, okay, you know what, I'll just send in this Heracross and just set up in its face and see how he likes it. He does end up switching out, and he goes into Tentacruel, which I personally wasn't that afraid of, because if it Skull Burns me, well, I have Guts on this Heracross. So I get a free Swords Dance. He switched into Tentacruel, as you saw. Now he switches it back out. He goes into Type Null, which is really good for me, honestly, because I get to knock off the Eviolite first of all, and then just finish it off with a Facade, because it's boosted and whatnot. After +2, I was kind of hoping I'd be able to take it out, and I was definitely thinking I can outspeed it, just because a lot of these freaking type nulls are typically of the defensive variety. So I was thinking, yeah, I could definitely take it out and outspeed it. Not to mention he didn't even get the setup, so if it hit me with something like Return or something, I'd be able to live it at least. So yeah, but now that that's gone, he brings in Hydreigon. I definitely switch in Sylveon, because I'm thinking, because I have +2, he'll maybe think that I want to stay in trying to take advantage of the +2, but I actually don't. I actually switch into Sylveon. Thankfully I made that switch, because if not, that Hydreigon would have put me away basically, or my Heracross away at least. But here I definitely predicted him to switch out, because I mean, what's he gonna do with a Sylveon in his face? Nothing. Well, he switches out, and I did expect the switch. I wasn't sure what, but I was hoping that it wouldn't be this Marowak. But yeah, it was the Marowak, unfortunately. This forces me to switch out, and he ends up going for the Flare Blitz, which is, in all honesty, this is the best thing that could ever happen, because if he went for Stealth Rocks right here, predicting me to switch, that could have been really bad, because he would have Rocks up already. But thankfully he just goes for the Flare Blitz. It does a number to my Aerodactyl despite the resistance, because Aerodactyl is not that bulky to begin with. He ends up switching out into Conk here as I try to go for Earthquake, on the off chance he tries to stay in or something. I go for Earthquake over Stone Edge because I don't want Stone Edge to miss. And if he does switch in Conkeldurr, it'll be able to at least get some damage off. And this is probably the most damage I can get on this Conkeldurr, I think. Well, at least I go for Aqua Tail, but again, I don't want to miss. That's kind of my biggest concern here. So here I hard switch into Tentacruel, gets a Mach Punch off, and it's a crit Mach Punch, by the way. So here I'm like, okay, now that I switched in, what I'm gonna do here now is just switch out again, like predict him to switch out yet again, and then go straight back into Heracross. Actually, no, I don't predict him here. What happens is that I wanted to switch into Heracross because I don't necessarily have a switch into Conkeldurr, and I was kind of hoping he goes for something like Knockoff, and he actually does go for Knockoff, thankfully. And this allows me to now hit it with a Close Combat. I wasn't sure if they'd KO in all honesty, but what I wanted was Chip, because I felt like if this thing remains healthy, it'll be able to get away with a lot. The Conkeldurr, that is. Thankfully, I am able to take it out with a Close Combat, and now it's when he decides to bring in the Hydreigon once again. And here, I wanted to stay in, but I couldn't, because if he Dracos my Heracross, I might have a harder time with the matchup here. And plus, I kind of need it for the Empoleon. So, because this Sylveon, sure, it can deal with the Hydreigon, but if he just gets that U-turn off like that and goes into Empoleon, well, that's kind of where problems happen. Or this Marowak, because I don't have really much for this Marowak, unfortunately. This Sylveon is actually like a Cleric set, so its only move is Hyper Voice, which is resisted by Marowak, and it's also resisted by Empoleon, so he could have easily gone into any of these 2 months. Here he goes into Marowak, I'm guessing to get the rocks up. This is why I hard switched into Tentacruel, because I wanted to at least scare him away, so, threatening to like scald him or something. And fun fact, he ends up staying in here as I go for Scald, and at first I thought, why would he stay in? Well, because it can definitely survive a Scald and then retaliate with a Boomerang, which ends up missing, which is actually really unfortunate. Not only that, but it's a really huge deal in this battle actually, because he would have had his rocks up and I would not have been able to Rapid Spin, because from where I was at, the Boomerang actually does KO. I actually did the calc and it actually does KO. Even if he didn't get that crit Mach Punch on my Tentacruel with Conkeldurr, I still had a high chance of going down. I had like over a 90% chance to get KO'd by the Boomerang, so this miss was significant. Because now he goes into Hydreigon after losing the Marowak. Like oh, actually no, he doesn't let it go down just yet. He actually switches into Hydreigon, predicting me to Scald again, which I do. But here, now he tries to go for Earth Power, knowing that it can't KO, and now I just get a free Rapid Spin off. He can switch into Marowak because it's already weakened, and I can already outspeed it, so I can just go for Scald if I really, really wanted to. So yeah, now that I went for the Rapid Spin, I think here's where he tries to hard switch into Marowak again, and I just go into Aerodactyl, and here I just go for the Earthquake. I hard switched into Aerodactyl because he went for Earth Power with the Hydreigon. I was hoping it would be Choice Scarfed, which seems to be the case here. And because he went into Marowak, he just decided to stay in and just lose it. He felt like it wasn't going to be useful in the long run anyways, because I got rid of the rocks and it's already too weakened to get for anything on my team to basically revenge KO it, so he didn't think it'd be useful. So here, I'm going to go into Sylveon after switching out the Aerodactyl, because I do not want to lose it to a Dark Pulse, especially after having taken so much damage from the Marowak earlier. Here, he does switch out yet again. He goes into Empoleon because he doesn't want to stay in on a Hyper Voice. I once again predict this switch and just go straight into Doublade. But, again, not the right prediction, like the right switch in. I did predict him to switch, but I did not know, once again, what he was going to switch into. I just kind of wanted to see what he would go for. But here, I switch into Tentacruel because the matchup wasn't ideal, and I kind of had a feeling he'd go for a water move. In this case, he goes for Hydro Pump, which unfortunately my Tentacruel can't take very well, and I cannot switch into anything else, so what I'm going to do here now is just go for Scald, and hope for maybe get a burn or something, which I do not get, obviously. So here, he's just going to go for another Hydro Pump and not miss, because clearly wanting to miss this thing is a really, really good thing, but you know, it already missed Boomerang, so why would I want it to miss more moves? So yeah, here I lose Tentacruel, but this gives me a free switch into Heracross here. Unfortunately, he still has his own Tentacruel, so I can't go with well, I had to close combat obviously, but I couldn't just go for the Facade. Well, I could have, but I mean, I don't want to play around with a potentially Specs Hydro Pump from Empoleon, because looking at the damage that it did to my Tentacruel, it kind of tells me that it might be Specs. I don't know if it was or not, but if it was, yeah, I cannot just stay in and go for Facade trying to predict. He could actually end up staying in, because he has done that before. So yeah, here I switch out because I don't want to lose my Heracross just yet. It's kind of weakened where I feel like a Scald might actually take it out, and I do think it outspeeds because most of these Tentacruels do have a relatively higher base speed than Heracross. So yeah, here I'm gonna just send in Doublade to take the Scald. He does get the burn, of course. And here I try to go for Shadow Claw, I believe. Yeah, and then here he gets his Toxic Spikes up, and I'm like, oh boy, he's probably gonna try to get the second layer up. So what I'm gonna do here is just go straight for the Swords Dance so that I can at least neutralize my attack. And afterwards, if he tries to send in the Hydreigon, predicting me to go for another Shadow Claw, I'm just gonna go for the Gyro Ball. I went for it even on the even if he tried to stay in with the Tentacruel, just because I don't know. I felt like after getting the Swords Dance up, despite being burned, I feel like Gyro Ball might still do a lot of damage because Tentacruels once again can be fast, and this Doublade is definitely one of the slowest mons in this game. So yeah, here he's just gonna go for knockoff as I try to go for a Gyro Ball. I think that was a crit knockoff too, by the way, which is just funny. But or should I say not funny? But you know, yeah, like I said, I just go for the Garble. It doesn't. It almost KOs it, and in fact, it almost looked like it did a lot more than Shadow Claw did, which is kind of interesting. But here, I decided to go for Shadow Sneak. Even if he tries to switch in the Hydreigon, at least I'd get a little bit of chip on it, and then I'd be able to see what his tendencies are after that. So yeah, I went for the Shadow Sneak. He does let his Tentacruel go down, which is good because that's another thing that Sylveon does not have to worry about. Because by the way, this team, the majority of this team has a lot for Sylveon. Like it, the Marowak, the Empoleon, the Tentacruel, like, and it's all to protect this one freaking Hydreigon, which is crazy. So yeah, I go for another Shadow Sneak here. Just because I was thinking the Empoleon is just gonna come in here and let me go down, but he actually, what he does is just switch out the into the Hydreigon. So what I'm gonna do here is go into Sylveon and hope he goes for a Draco or Dark Pulse at least, not Draco, Dark Pulse because it's a Doublade. So he does go for Dark Pulse, thankfully. And what I'm gonna do right here is go for the, I think the Heal Bell. Yeah, I think I definitely go for the Heal Bell here because I wanted to get rid of the burn on the Doublade. I also wanted to get rid of this poison. I did not want this poison to be dragging me out. Although I, for a brief second, kind of forgot that this Empoleon was still here. So I was thinking, I was like, oh, yeah, I forgot this thing was still here. But in retrospect, I was still glad that I went for the Heal Bell because the Doublade was burned. So if I tried switching it back in, and he tries to do something like this here, where he switches out the Empoleon and tries going back into Hydreigon. In other words, he's basically doing this baiting game where he tries to make me do certain things. But if what he wants me to do is just send Doublade out while it's burned and then take damage at the end of the turn, that's where Heal Bell kind of comes in and prevents that from just happening. So this allows me to just freely switch back into Sylveon, albeit still taking those Toxic Spikes. But all I need to do really is just sack the Doublade to the Empoleon. Once that happens, I can freely just bring in Heracross and he cannot switch out. And then his Empoleon will be gone, and then my Sylveon will be free to get the Hyper Voice off on the Hydreigon, which is what I'm trying to do here. He ends up going back into this Empoleon on the U-turn. So what I decided to do now is just go back into Doublade because honestly there's no reason for me not to go back into Doublade so that I can sack it. He ends up revealing Flash Cannon, so this pretty much confirms that it was probably a choice Empoleon. Definitely Specs, because why would he be Choice Scarf? That'd just be wacky as sin. But yeah, so now Doublade finally goes down, and now I get this free switch into Heracross. Takes Toxic Spikes damage because it lost the burn, or Toxic Spikes basically. Like it gets poisoned by the Toxic Spikes because I lost the burn thanks to the Heal Ball from Sylveon. But nonetheless, I am able to still outspeed this and just go for the close combat. Like I say, it would have been crazy if this Empoleon was Scarf, because if it was Scarf, that might have just been the whole game in all honesty. But yeah, so here I take poison damage. His last Pokemon is Hydreigon, and I think he's just gonna go for Dark Pulse here. Now let me tell you something. Here is also where had the snack gotten the rocks up, this Heracross would not have survived the Dark Pulse here. Because what happens here is that I survive with 1 HP, and now I'm just able to take it out with a close combat, which is like, damn. So yeah, that's gonna be the whole game. As you can see, had the snack gotten those rocks up, I'm not gonna say that it guarantees him to win the battle, but he definitely would have had an easier time beating me if he actually got the rocks up. I personally wasn't certain if I'd be able to win if he got the rocks up, but I can't say that he would have won for sure if had he got them up. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, that's the whole game. That was a pretty cool game. Thank you all for watching. Good game to the snack. Do check out his channel because, like I said, this guy is awesome. This guy's probably like, not technically, but he's kind of like, in my mind, he's kind of like my mentor, because with him is how I managed to get into competitive Wi-Fi battling and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, once again, thank you all for watching, and once again, do check him out because, like I said, he's awesome. But for now, I'll just catch you guys in the next battle. But for now, just take it easy.